So somehow, some way, ladies and gentlemen, with all the topics I've covered, all the stories I've spoken about, all the videos I've reacted to, I have never made a video centered around Patrick Bet-David. That is absolutely insane, and it's criminal on my part. It really is. I've been a huge fan of this guy for quite some time now. He's a great role model for men out there, and his success is something that inspires me. And if you haven't checked out his podcast, which I highly doubt a lot of you haven't, because it is one of the most spoken about things on the internet, I recommend you do. You will not be disappointed. But recently he was just on Piers Morgan Uncensored, and they had a lengthy discussion, and in this conversation, as you would expect, woke culture became a talking point. And although it was sure Patrick Bet-David made some great points, as did Piers Morgan, everyone now, and you have to love it, is calling out, pointing out the madness right now within society. Everybody realizes things need to change ASAP, and hopefully with influential men like Patrick Bet-David, which young men can watch and aspire to be, that can play a huge part in things drastically changing. I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you want to see me cover more things centered around Patrick Bet-David, let me know in the comment section below. But before we get into this clip, as usual, if you could, make sure to leave a like rating, as it really helps out the video. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video, share this video around. Enough talking, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it.
The other big issue is this whole issue, the culture war issue, the woke phenomenon, which I think has been an appalling one in many ways and completely alien and antithetical to what it was supposed to be originally in the 60s, when woke meant being aware of social and racial injustice. It's now become a new form of fascism. And you're seeing that manifest itself now in our universities, both here and we've seen it in the United States. I mean, it's been absolutely appalling to witness that kids are entering academic centers which are basically now run by left-wing fascists who are behaving in exactly the same way that they always profess to hate most.
Yeah, the left has a monopoly on kids' mind today, 13-1. In colleges, there are 13 Democrat left professors to 1 conservative right. That's a monopoly at the highest level. If you have monopoly,
it's madness.
It's absolute madness, because that's not debate. Piers, when the Hillary Clinton-Trump debate, the big one, took place, the one that you'd be in jail, you know which one I'm talking about. I'm at Harvard campus in the chow hall where you have dinner. This is when I was taking an executive education course for 3 weeks there. And I'm there with professors and some of the folks, students that are in there. There's 300 students and professors in this room watching the debate. I sat on the sideline, didn't celebrate or say anything, because I just wanted to know what the hell is going on to Harvard. You know, when you're in Iran, you think Harvard like Oxford. You think like the greatest university.
Absolute pillar of academic excellence.
Absolute. There's nothing about those.
And you would imagine the home of free speech, right? Somewhere where 100%. They would hear all voices, they would all be heard, all given a fair hearing, and students would be trusted with their big brains, because you've got to be smart to be there, to make up their own minds after hearing everything.
And it's so furthest thing from what you just said right there, because 300 people, I didn't say a word. Every one of them, not 299, not 298, 300 out of 300 celebrated everything Hillary Clinton said and booed everything Trump said.
Completely ridiculous.
The next day I went to the professor. I said, this is what you guys call this? And I'm a pretty vocal guy.
It's brainwashing, isn't it?
Yeah, total brainwashing. I want debate. I want discourse. I want exchange. Let's argue. Let's sit down. Let's be respectful. Look what you did during Israel and October 7th attack. What did you do? Bassem Youssef. You brought everybody on. Hey, go. Go at it. Go talk. What's your view? What's this? What's that? And yes, we were drawn. I would say the number one. I don't think anyone contributed to this discussion worldwide more than you did, positively. I think you were number one. More than anybody else you can go watch. You were number one, because we would sit there and we're like, who's Pierce going to have today? Oh, shoot, this is good. Oh, wow, that's a good point. Man, I never thought, he's got a good point. Dude, let me go research it. Is that really what? This is more Harvard than Harvard once used to be.
Yes, this is what Harvard should be.
Man, I've just been waiting for a point to interject, but Patrick Bet-David is going off and off, and he's right. During this whole Israel-Palestine situation, Piers Morgan Uncensored has been a very heated time, that is for sure, but the education point, universities, students being pushed down one side of the political spectrum because the professors, 13-1, are Democrats in America. And I'm sure it's the same in England, right? I'm sure it's worse than we think with these teachers, professors having one worldview and being hired to project that worldview. How can students be taught properly with that system in place? They're already being told one side of the whole thing constantly. It's being repeated over and over and over, all of these XYZ agendas, woke ideas, woke agendas. So when they are finally challenged on these issues, they react so emotionally. Oh no, I can't believe you would say that. How dare you? Is it any wonder kids are turning out the way they are? And then you think about even high schools, primary schools, teachers are no longer just there to teach. They had their own political agendas, their own political spin on things. Even a lot of the curriculum includes left-wing ideology. It needs a complete revamp from top to bottom.
It should be the fulcrum for that kind of passionate debate on all sides, and then allow them the freedom and the time to make their own minds up. I mean, I see, I think that I talk a lot on this show also about things like the gender wars, and in particular, the kind of invasion of women's sport by the trans lobby. And when you see a 6'4" biological male destroying biological females, women, in a swimming pool or on an athletics track or whatever it may be, you just think, how on earth have we got to this place? And how, I just think in 20 years' time, we'll look back on this time in history and think, what the hell were you all thinking? And why were you allowing this to happen?
So Piers, this last weekend, my son turns 12 years old. We took him to Universal Studios, where he wanted to go. And we go in there, and we go to this place where it's Mardi Gras, next to their biggest ride that they have, rock and roll, whatever. It's a great ride. And I see 50, members of the LGBTQ community dressed as trans, men dressed as trans, showing off their chest as if it's boobs, and they're coming and talking to our kids. And they're like, "Hi, how are you? What's your name?" Being overly friendly. I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell is this all about, right? At Universal Studios. So my son, 10-year-old son, says, "Dad, those guys you see, they're part of the LGBTQ community." I said, "Yeah, what do you think about it?" Look at what he says to me, because this guy's reading books and they kind of study different things for themselves. He says, "Well, he probably didn't have a good father figure because he didn't have a father figure in his life." So watch the stats here, Piers, for us to be thinking about. Fatherless homes, okay, worldwide average is 7%. 7%. China is 3%. India is 4%. Kids being raised without a father. That's the number. You know what it is in US? 23, 24%.
Wow.
How does that make any sense? We have the highest number in the world. And this happened back in the 60s when LBJ came out with his program that he initiated in the 60s. It used to only be 4% of kids were born to a single mother. That's how it was back in the days. Only 4% in the 60s. Now today's 40%. The statistic, you need a father in your house to discipline the boys, discipline the kids, and a father with backbone. I see videos nowadays for the father to say, "My son was 2 years old, 3 years old, told me he's a girl. And as a father, I felt it was the responsible thing to do. And I'm going to..." What are we talking? You belong in jail for doing something like that, to take that away, that innocence away from the kids. So the same people that think, we should be 21 years old to drink, we should be 18 years old to smoke, we should be 18 years old to vote, we should be 18 years old to join the military, believe an 11-year-old can go through a transition sexually? Where's the logic behind it? There isn't.
I think it's actually a form of child abuse. I've said this.
Facts.
I think it's outrageous to even think about this before they're at an age where they can make a more mature decision about what is going to be an extraordinary thing in their lives and often unchangeable. It's like, why would we, like you say, you can't let them have a drink, but they're going to effectively try and mutilate themselves at the age of 10, 11? I mean, it's absolutely insane to me.
Man, a lot of great stuff was mentioned there. And there's one point I really like about boys not having a father figure in the household. I really do think this is a topic that society wants to actively avoid. It's like we're scared to offend people today, and this is a result of liberal feminism, because boys, whether these people like it or not, need a father in their household. It's factually proven. There's a great book that I've got somewhere in my room called The Boy Crisis, and it goes into a lot of detail. It's very loaded on the consequences of boys not having a father figure in their household. And whilst it doesn't talk about issues like woke culture, it certainly talks about the issues we are facing in society today with crime and behavioral issues, and a lot of it can be boiled down to boys especially not having a father with a backbone in the household. So look, there are single mothers out there that do a great job. I was raised by a single mother, but I know I would have benefited from having a father figure in the household, a strong masculine role model. Now, people would argue there aren't, the classic father figures out there any longer, but this is where I think it's up to men my age and obviously younger to do the work now to become that strong father figure for our future children and find a wife that suits us and we suit that wife as well. And a lot of these issues today, I think, do get solved. But what we're seeing is these young men today being feminized, and then in the future they grow up and then end up feminizing their boys. It's just this constant vicious cycle. And they talk about also kids not being allowed to drink, to do this, to do that, but liberals, woke activists out there would advocate for them taking hormone blockers, etc., etc. That's all you need to know about these people. There is an interview, a street interview somebody does, where they actually ask people, do you think kids should get tattoos? And they all say no, because you can't get rid of it. Kids shouldn't be doing that. But then he asked them, do you think they should be taking, hormone blockers, I think it is. And they all say, well...
Do you think a 12-year-old should be able to get a tattoo?
I'm going to say no.
Probably not.
No. It's probably too young to make decisions.
It's a pretty permanent decision.
They can't make the decision for themselves yet. Something permanent on their body.
Do you think a 12-year-old should be able to consent to puberty blockers?
Yes.
Yes.
And I understand how that sounds really hypocritical.
Yes, it's a permanent change on their body, but I think that at that point in their life, they probably know who they are, who they want to be.
And you think so at 12 years old?
Yes.
Do you think a 12-year-old should be able to consent to puberty blockers?
Yes, because that's not a permanent decision.
That's crazy. This is how deep and how delusional the mindset has now become. But leave your thoughts down below on that one. I really like that point they touched on with the father figures, because it's one many people don't talk about. And I do think that issue is a big part to play with what we're seeing in society today. But again, leave your thoughts down below on this, ladies and gentlemen. What are your thoughts on what Piers Morgan Patrick Bet-David said? I'd like to know. If you have enjoyed today, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video, comment on this video, share this video. But until next time, it has been your boy JD. Have a great day, stay safe, and I'm out.